we've had a no-show. We have had a no-show. And what do we do when we have a no-show? We have a show. We have a show. That's right. This is the first ever going after it with Cam Bird, with Cam Bird. That's right. We're doing it, guys. We're doing it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I've never done this before, but let's fucking go on a journey. I'm going to tell you guys a bit about what's been happening in my life, where I want to go, what I want to do, what I think, what I feel. I don't know. What the fuck do you do when you're just talking to yourself? It's kind of weird just talking to yourself. I've always found that people that talk to themselves are a little strange. Like when you're walking down the road and you see a guy just talking to himself, you're probably not going to want to talk to him, right? So I'm kind of like, yeah, I've always just been a little bit like, I don't know how these guys do it. You know, Bill Burr gets up and just rants for an hour or 45 minutes, however long it is. What a legend. But I don't think I can do it. But I'm going to try. There we go. I've got the insecurities out. So what's been happening, everyone? Oh, you good? Cool. Me too. Well, I got some news, actually. I got a bit of news. I hosted my first ever show last night. Yeah, it was pretty good. I was barking for a show at St. Mark's. I was actually barking for my second show. No, sorry, I was barking for the third show. And Alexis comes up to me. He's like, hey, mate, we've got no one to host. You want to host? And I was like, not really. I've never really hosted before. He goes, well, you kind of don't have a choice. You've got to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll give it a go. But, you know, I had a beer, got a little bit of Dutch courage, and I went. And it was actually really fun. I enjoyed it. Hosting's fun. Like I've hosted a couple of mics, like 3 open mics in my life, or really like 2.5, because the Plan B boys, I hosted one of their mics, and you only host half of it when you do a hosting spot with their mics. But no, it was really fun. The audience were good. You know, the thing about hosting is it's different because you're going into a cold room. You know, like people complain about getting the bullet spot, which is the first spot. And even I think on a set, the first or second spot is after the host is generally the hardest, like hands down, because the audience is still pretty cold. So hosting is a different kettle of fish because you are going in there, they're going to be cold. Like they were cold and I had to warm them up. And it was fun. I did a bit of crowd work. I stuffed around with them a little bit, asked them where they were from. I used little bits of what I'd learned from other people. So yeah, that was really fun. It was an experience. And I think we're going to do it quite a lot more. I liked it. If I had a preference to do hosting or do a spot, it would be a spot because that's the ultimate. But hosting was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So little milestone. What else has been going on? Well, I'm actually heading back to Australia on Monday. Tuesday. And I guess by the time this gets published, I will be in Australia. I would have gone to my brother's wedding. That's my triplet brother. Yes, that's right. I have a triplet brother. His name is Guy Bird. Shout out to Guy Bird. And I also have a triplet sister, obviously, because if there's a triplet, there's got to be 3 of you. So 2 boys and a girl. My brother Guy, my sister Taylor, legends. Going to be seeing them. Going to see my older sisters, my twin older sisters, Miranda and Vanessa. That's right, twins and triplets. What else? So I'm going home. What am I doing? I'm going to a wedding. I'm going to go to a wedding in Byron Bay. Has anyone been to Byron Bay? You have? You haven't? You have? Oh, okay. No, I've been. But no, Byron Bay is cool. I'm going to go to Byron Bay for the wedding. Dance, drink, have a fun time. He's marrying a girl named Lily Everingham, and she is a champion. Shout out to Lily. So no, it's going to be good. I'm going to see some family, see some friends, try and get a few surfs in. Yeah. So let's have a look. What else are we doing? What else has been going on in my life? What else has been going on before I jump? I was going to jump on the phone for some current event stuff to just have a bit of a yarn about like the things that I look at on YouTube. But I want to maybe talk about what else has been going on. Tomorrow is Saturday. Tomorrow will be Saturday the 4th or the 5th. What's that going to be? We're in April right now. So tomorrow will be the 5th. I'm doing a show at the comic strip. And if I do well in this show, it means I will potentially get passed at the club, which means I will get permanent spots which would be amazing. Imagine that, getting permanent spots at the comic strip. It's only 2 blocks from my house, so that would be fucking sick. That would be really fucking sick. Yeah. Comic strip be good. Next one I would like to try and attack is Rodney's, because I really like Rodney's. I like the guys down there. I like the club. It's a good vibe. Shout out to all the boys at Rodney's. So yeah, I think that's my goal for this year, is to try, like, obviously keep going with St. Mark's and Broadway, my 2 home bases. Yeah, also try and get through the comic strip and Rodney's. That's what I think I'm going to try and do. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that out loud and giving away all my secrets, but we'll see. And keep going with this podcast. That's, this podcast, it's been a lot of work. It has. There's a little sparkle on the table. I wanted to have a look at it. That's my ADD brain going right there. This podcast has been a lot of work. It certainly feels like it's been a labor of love, and it's brought out a lot of different things in me, a lot of different feelings, a lot of different emotions, like a lot of insecurities, because I'm having to reveal a lot about myself that I may not normally do, especially on camera, having to publish it and go through all that process, watch myself on clips and reels, and that's all new. And I kind of get it now that I'm starting to get into the whole publishing world. It's a lot of work, like what people say, it's not easy. You think like all these TikTok stars and people that are like publishing all this content, you think that their life is, it looks so amazing. They make it seem like it's so amazing, a lot of these people, but it is a lot of hard work, I think. So I kind of do give it up. I kind of do feel for, I don't know what I'm trying to fucking say. What am I trying to say? Why do I care about fucking TikTokers? Jeez, this is horrific. I don't know how Bill Burr does it. I really think you have to be up to date with like current events as well. Like, see, I made a choice in my life. I'm going to keep these headphones off because fuck it, I can. I made a choice in my life a few months back to not worry so much with the news, because I was finding that with COVID, or throughout that COVID period, I was glued to what was happening on my phone. I wasn't so much looking at what was happening in like the private media sector, like your normal news channels, but I was definitely getting more into your, off the beaten track kind of news channels, like independent news channels. So I shouldn't say private news channels for before. Ignore me. Geez, you're really getting a first-hand look at how my brain works. It's kind of all over the place, isn't it? I guess all our brains are kind of all over the place at times. But this is weird. I'm not sure if I'm into this. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this again, but I'm just going to keep going because I've paid for the space. So maybe even if I cut this down to 10 minutes and you get 10 minutes with me. But no, all right, let's keep talking. It's a muscle. It's a muscle you have to flex. That is like what comedy is. That's like what anything is. That's hard. It always feels hard when you haven't done it. And I'm starting to learn that, if it feels hard, it's good. If it feels hard, it means it's a challenge, which means you have to lean into that. If you lean into that, then you get through the other side. That's where the goodness is. That's where your growth is. So I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep talking. But I do find that when I'm talking on my own or just riffing like this, I have to be very conscious with how I talk. Because if I try and talk too fast, I start being not very eloquent. I start slurring my words a little bit. It's almost, I feel like I'm about to have a stroke. No, not really. It's not the best explanation. But it does, this is very uncomfortable for me. That's all I'm going to say. I am doing this. Fuck you. You're going to be judging me. I'm fucking doing this. But I'm going to riff for 1 hour with you motherfuckers. And I got nothing written. I got nothing planned. I was supposed to have a guest come on today. Maybe I'm going to share his name so we can all boo and we can go boo. Nah, I'm not, because I kind of respect the artist. He's a good comedian and he's a good boy. But he obviously doesn't respect me. Boo. But no, what else is going on? This is fun, guys. We're having fun. What else is going on? So I've been in New York now for 9 months. I came here last June. So what are we in? February, March. We're in the start of April, 6. So June, July, August, September. I am so fucking retarded. I, instead of counting, said the months. I was going to count July 7. Oh my God, I'm so retarded. July, September, June, July, August, September, October. Do you guys have to do that too? Like if I want to run through the months, like I can't just go, like I have to go January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Like I have to go it through it. If I just try and start at June, I can't keep going. Isn't that weird? Maybe it's because I had a few too many beers last night. Yeah. Anyway, we're here. We're doing this. So I want to try and make this interesting for you. So I want to try and explain what's been going on in my life. So I'm going to try and stay focused now. Let's focus. So I moved here in June. Before that, I came from Mexico. I spent 3 months in Mexico. And guys, if you haven't been to Mexico, Mexico is fucking amazing, especially if you're a surfer. I had an interesting experience because I went there to actually buy a hostel with 2 friends. One friend that I'd met traveling, actually both of them I'd met traveling in Ecuador a couple of years ago. One Israeli and one fella from Austria. And we went to this little surf town, Saladita, La Saladita, it is called in Mexico. It's like a little left-hand point break. It's not little like as in the point break's long. It's a long wave, but the wave is very small. And we went to this town. We'd been talking about buying a hostel. We'd sort of worked it out. We'd sort of come up with a rough agreement of what we would do and how we would do it. And that was the plan. So I had Mel here, which is my now wife. I had her here. I knew I was going to be coming to New York, but I was going to be probably coming back with a hostel. And I don't know where that would have taken me. I don't know if I would have enjoyed that or not. I'm sure I would have enjoyed that. But also, I'd just come off from traveling for quite a while through Central and South America. So I still had it in my blood that was... It's like the last thing that is... The thing that is freshest in your mind, the thing that is freshest in your memory, in your heart, in your soul, it has the strongest pull. You know, like once a memory fades or an experience fades or gets further into the distance, it doesn't have as strong a hold on you. But I had such an amazing experience when I traveled through Central and South America a few years ago that I thought the hostel world would have been amazing. And I still do. I think it's great. I still have friends that own hostels. Anyways, that's my little fucking doing the weave. That's a Trump reference as well, in case you didn't get that, you fucking retards. Now, we went to this hostel. Sorry, we went to La Saladita, and we went there to buy a hostel. And I went out with the 2 boys one night. We went to this little it was like a little hipster dance party. There was a lot of Mexicans there, a couple of tourists, and it was fun. But we ended up getting pretty drunk. Well, me and the Austrian, my friend Toby, love you, Toby, if you're ever listening to this. And we got drunk. Like I got so drunk that I woke up in my bed the next day and didn't remember how I got there. So that kind of drunk. And Toby, my friend, he got so drunk that he ended up coming back in the door at like 10 in the morning. He's like, "Oh, bro, I passed out in a bush and I couldn't find where I was. So I just went to sleep and stayed there." And anyway, he comes in talking and he's like, "I can't find my phone." So he's lost his phone. I'm hungover. I'd been a dickhead the night before and was on the phone to, I think, Mel, my wife, and yelling at her because I got too drunk and I was just being an immature dickhead. So thank you, Mel, for putting up with me that night. And my Israeli friend looks me in the eyes the next day and goes, "I'm not buying a hostel with you." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I heard you on the phone. I saw how drunk you got. I saw what you were like with people. You were like trying to hit on these girls." He's like, "I'm not buying a hostel with you. I don't feel right about buying a hostel with you." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Fuck you, firstly." It's like, secondly, fuck you again, because we all make mistakes. And I've seen this guy pretty drunk before and acting like a bit of a fool, but whatever. I'm not going to make someone go into business with me. So if someone says they don't want to do something with me, of course, I'll be like, "Yeah, no worries." But I was hurt. I was actually hurt. I was hurt because I felt like he judged me very early. Like, yeah, all right, I got drunk and acted like a dickhead. But that was like 1% of who I am. I've always had a wild side. I've always been an idiot. But in this experience, I'd come all this way to have this experience with these guys. I'd come all that way open. My heart was open to do this, put money into this venture. We were talking about living there for a third of the year each, and then having some time where it crossovers. So there would be two of us there at the same time for like a month. And we had sort of had this idea planned out. We were going to build it ourselves. So, we talked a lot about this, and there was a lot of pieces of the puzzle went into like trying to make this trip a reality. And for him, then just on the very first night that I got a bit drunk, well, a little bit more than a bit, so I don't blame him for that, for being upset, because yeah, it's upsetting seeing any of your friends drunk when they're like retarded. Yes, I just said the R word, fuck you. It's my podcast, I can say what I want, motherfucker. Now, it was disappointing because I'd gone all that way, put all those eggs in that basket, or some eggs in the basket, and I felt immense rejection. I felt rejection. And I don't care what anyone says, any kind of rejection in any environment, whether it be work, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in sports, any kind of rejection sucks. Any kind of rejection hurts. Like, it doesn't get any easier as you get older. Like, rejection sucks. And I felt rejected. I was like, all right, so what, you can just ride me off like I'm a piece of shit just from one night? Like, I felt rejected and I felt hurt and I felt very misunderstood. But what are you going to do? Cry about it? You're going to be a little bitch? I was like, fuck you. So I packed up my stuff the next day and I said, see you later. I grabbed my surfboard, took a taxi to a town called Nexpa, and stayed there for, I can't even remember, it was like 6 weeks or something. And that's when my holiday really started, because Nexpa was one of the best experiences of my life. It really was. It was a true, authentic travel experience. I didn't know anything about Nexpa. All I knew that it had a good wave and I liked the name. I thought the name Nexpa is actually a cool name. I knew that it was in Michigan, which is like cartel territory. So you have to be very careful in these areas. Things can happen. But also on the flip side of that, as a tourist, actually traveling in these cartel territories can actually be safer, believe it or not. Because generally the cartel will not touch tourists. It is not worth their effort. And if they hear about other Mexicans harming tourists or fucking with tourists, usually the cartel will come in and sort them out far earlier and far more efficiently than the police ever will. So it's funny what we're given, the information we're fed via the media that the cartel are bad and this. And look, I'm sure that I'm not saying that, I'm not defending them in any other sense, but just in these areas, it felt really safe. It felt great. It felt, I didn't have any issues. So I'm just putting it out there. If you are traveling through Mexico and they say it's a cartel-run state, which is kind of like, they're like hybrids, the cartel has a lot of power, but it's not like cartel fully run. But don't be scared. It's actually very fine. So yeah, rock up. I end up taking a taxi to this town called Nexpa. There is only one place you can book online, and it was this tiny little like triangular, those triangle houses that you see. It was a little triangle bungalow, and I booked that for 4 nights. And I just sort of got there, put my surfboard down, had a surf, then went for a couple of walks along the beach for a few days, and I was all right. This place is cool. Like, it had a really cool wave. I liked the vibe, but it was very quiet. It was like a little bit of solitude. That doesn't make sense. I felt like I was in solitude. It was there. Yeah, there were surfers around, but a lot of the time when you get to these new places, That's why hostels are really good. I'm going to premise this. Hostels, when you're traveling, are really good because you go into a town, you're already in a house, in a room with 8 other people, and you instantly have 8 friends or 7 friends or however many people in your room. But when you travel in these sorts of places, it does take a little bit more time to get to know people and kind of get to know the lay of the land. That's why these sorts of holidays, if you are traveling alone and you want to go to a remote town, it's kind of nice to actually just stay put for a while and really get to know the town, because it does take a bit more time when you're not in a hostel and you're just like a civilian. I hope I'm articulating myself well here. I'm actually kind of enjoying this now. This isn't too bad. Am I monotone? Tell me if I'm fucking monotoned, all right? Sometimes I'm listening to my podcasts and I'm like, dude, my energy is low. Like I need to be like more like, like more crazy. But it's not really me. I'm not the most crazy person sometimes. I can be, but sometimes anyways, you're just really getting my brain rot today. By the way, green tea and honey, it's very good. Anyway, so I get to this town called Nexba and I meet this other Australian, and he ends up becoming a really fucking good friend of mine. So, and we end up, he was a chef. So we end up cooking. He ends up cooking me dinner every single night. I go there for a surf watch every morning. We drink coffees and we would drink beers and smoke hash at nighttime. And for 6 weeks, that's all we did. Surfed, drank beers, smoked hash, surfed, smoked beers, drank hash. That's what we did. And it was really fun. I did have one crazy night though. I don't know if I should talk about this. Yeah, I guess I can. I'll cut it out if I don't want to. I did have one crazy night. So in my life, I've had moments, I don't know what you would call them, like spiritual moments or like mini, like I've had various dreams about certain, I've had dreams about I've had dreams about the 3 wise men. I've had dreams about being at the table with the 12 disciples at dinner, and I've had a dream that I was crucified. I've had various little spiritual awakenings, especially through using like psychedelics, even smoking marijuana or mushrooms. I've done an ayahuasca retreat. So I had a really strange experience one night. This is just one of many, and I can talk more about these experiences that I've had because I've had lots of them and I've got most of them written down, especially my dreams. They're quite interesting as well. I can talk more about this if you guys want, but this is one experience that I had that was kind of wild. It was one of my last nights. I was smoking some hash, and the hash there was like very, very nice. It was very pure, it was really nice hash. And it was very late. I was up I'd switched accommodations at this point. I'd found a room in a 3-story, it was like a 3-story building, and I had the whole top floor to myself, and I was paying like $40 a night. It was amazing. I had a view of all the water, the mountains behind me. It was magic. Mexico, guys, you could travel so cheap. So, but I had this experience where I smoked some hash and then I played some music and I was doing some meditation. And I started getting to a point with my meditation where I could predict the thought that was coming before it came. And I don't know if that makes sense because, anyways, I'm not going to interrupt myself. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to just try and explain the story. I was predicting the thought before it was coming. So say, for example, it was an insecurity. A lot of my thoughts that I have in these moments where I'm like meditating, I'll go through like a very insecure moment or a very self-deprecating moment where I will be listening or observing the mind loops that are just rubbish, like telling myself you can't do something, you're gay, you're fucking broke, no one loves you, you're, all this stuff that isn't true, but just things that you just tell yourself for whatever reason, like all those things that we've told ourselves in our lives, that aren't true, they're always in us. And anyway, so I find that when I'm meditating a lot, I witness a lot of these negative mind patterns come through. But on this particular night, I was witnessing these mind patterns through my meditation, and I was breathing. And then it was like I was a second in front of the thought. Like I just had a knowingness of what thought was going to come before it did. So when it came, I found it really funny. Like I felt like I was disconnected from my mind. Like I really, truly, for once, wasn't identifying with it. And it was almost like my mind wasn't me. Like it was a kid trying to make me laugh, or trying to, like, I don't know how to, it's very hard to describe, but I was in this process of watching my mind it was almost like my mind was trying to one-up me, like trying to come up with a thought or something. Usually in this situation, it was negative, something that would grab me, pull me, so I would then go back into my mind. Because in those situations, and I don't know if I have the right grasp on this, I could be wrong, but I feel like our mind always tries to get us in our mind. Our mind wants us to be in the mind, because then the mind has power. But in this moment, I could see through it. I could see that it was just a game, like it wasn't me, but it was smart. Like there's an intelligence there. There's an intelligence even in our mind, And I found it really funny. And every time a thought came, I was a second in front of it. And it was like someone just constantly giving away the surprise to an ending, but every second, like giving away surprise to an ending. And then every time they gave away the surprise, like the other person's like, "Oh, you gave it away?" Like, it's like, you gave it away? Like, and it was really funny. I don't know if I'm articulating myself well. I'll get better at this over time, I promise. And I started just laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. I was laughing my head off. Like I was hysterically laughing to a point where it was hurting. Like I had taken like the biggest dose of mushrooms, and I was on the ground, man. Like it was so funny, and it was so freeing. It was the strangest experience. And then the strangest thing happened to me. And I don't know if this was like a psychotic event. I'm yet to know. And if anyone has had this experience or felt this experience or know of anyone that's had this experience, reach out. But I then stood up, and the same thing was happening, this mind thing, and I was in front of it, and I was just laughing because as I said, I could just see what was coming. And as the longer that went on, I just felt more and more disconnected from my mind and more centered. And then I started to feel this energy within myself. It felt like there was an energy inside and around my body, and it was pulling me around in a circle. So just on the spot, as if it just felt like it wanted to pull me. And I was like, this is weird. And I started to fight it at first. I was like trying to use my muscles to counter myself back. But then I just sort of let go, and it took me. And this energy just took me on a dance around my room. Like I was going in circles and circles and circles and circles and circles in bigger circles. So little circles in big circles around my room. I had my arms out, and I was just laughing like a baby. And I'd actually come out of the shower at this point, because I'm just coming back to me now. I'd had a shower, and in the shower, that's where I started to feel the energy. And I'm now doing these circles, and I jump out of my circle, my bathroom. I'm doing these circles around my like living room, I guess you would call it. And then back into the shower, and I was doing these like this dance all around. And then the energy would just stop. And then I would start spinning the other way. This energy would start making me spin the other way. And then I would do that for a minute, and it would stop. I'd be like, whoa, it's just stopped. And then I would start feeling it pull me again the other way. And for like an hour, I'm just doing these dances around, this circular dance around the living room, going one way, going back, going through the shower. It was the weirdest thing. It was like completely letting go. And I still don't know why or how, I don't know if it was like a marijuana-induced psychosis or what people say, but it didn't feel bad. It didn't feel like I knew exactly like consciousness. I felt very straight. I knew exactly what was going on. So I don't know. Does anyone have that sort of experience? Because that was pretty wild. But anyway, what ends up happening is this Mexican guy comes up and knocks on the door, and I was fully naked, just like having the time of my life. And I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "You've left the shower on all night. It's starting to flood downstairs." I was like, "Ah, fuck." I was so sorry. So sorry, Mr. Mexican man. Flooded your apartment. It was all fun though. Anyway, that was a funny story. I want to learn to do this. I think I want to learn to articulate myself better, to tell stories, just to rant. What I do want to talk about as well is, and I've brought it up in the last few episodes, so if you have been listening, thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, I want to shout out to my cousin, Zeke Ahern. Zeke, he's a mathematician, this kid. He's a fucking legend. And he has been listening to every episode religiously. Like, he'll listen and message me and go, "Hey, man, loved this, loved that." So, guys, thank you. Thank you, Zeke. Thank you, guys, for listening. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm trying to get some pretty good guests on, and we'll see what happens. We will see where it goes. You just don't bloody know. So that was a weird experience in Mexico, but it kind of set me up. I don't know what it was. It was a very freeing, very spiritual experience. But yeah, it made me feel like I was ready to go to New York and ready to start tackling comedy, because I knew I wanted to tackle comedy, but I was really awful at it. Like, I had tried it in Australia, like I'd done it, I guess, if you looked at a time, for like 2 years. But I had done like one open mic every 4 to 6 weeks. I've said to everyone, like, the first 2 weeks I came to New York, I had done as many open mics as I did 2 years in Australia. So it's very hard for me to really count that time, although it is some time, it's something. Yeah, anyways, I knew I wanted to do comedy. I did. I knew it. I knew it from the first time I did it. I was like, I love it. But I needed to get some things out of my system, because I knew that once I started doing comedy, that would be it. So I did. I went traveling for a while through Central and South America, and then I came back, worked for another year, did that Mexico trip, and then I was finished up at Nexpa, and I was at a point where I was ready to go. I really was. I was ready to go. I'm 35. I was like, all right, if I'm ever going to do it, now's the time. I had a girl waiting for me, which we'd grown this crazy, crazy relationship. Like, I'd met Mel 5 years ago in a pub in Brisbane, and I approached her at a bar. She was sitting at a table with 2 of her male friends, and I went up to them and said, "Hey, do you guys mind if I sit here?" And I had another friend with me, shout out Scotty. And so they were like, "Yeah, sure." We sat down, and I knew I wanted to hook up with Mel, but I played it pretty cool. I didn't even really look at her. I just spoke to her 2 friends. Like, I kind of ignored her. Um, and then after I knew the point at which I knew I'd won her friends over, because we were just having great conversations, and I started giving her some attention. And anyways, one thing led to another. We had a good little chat. I invited her around for dinner the next night, and the rest is history. 5 years later, I was finishing up at Nextborough. I just had my crazy swirly experience, and I'm like about to hit a plane and go to New York. And all the time in between then was a bloody ride, I tell you. I had traveling, dealt with a breakup of like 8 years. I was with a girl. We were engaged. We had some properties together, and then I was dealing with that breakup in that time. Bloody had a bit of a problem with the nose candy for a while. It started off as a lot of fun, ended up as a problem. But yeah, everything happens for a reason though, you know? Like, I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I don't know if I'm going the right way in anything. I don't even know sometimes I'm like, should I even be doing this? Like, but then I just think, well, what else would I be doing? What else am I going to do that would fulfill me in the same way that this has, in the same way that my friends now fulfill me in comedy, and my wife in our relationship, and learning how to be in a relationship with her. That's everything that I'm doing now is new and learning. Like, my life now is 100% different than what it was a year ago. Like, there is nothing that I'm doing that is the same. And it's been a really interesting process to go through this unfolding, to really throw myself in the deep end, really risk it all. Like, as I said, like, I came here to do comedy and to be with Mel. The two things came to a singular point in my life at the same time. That's a beautiful thing. But I sucked at comedy at home. I sucked. I think I got up like 15 times, 15 open mics or something, over a 2-year period. I sucked. That's not enough to get good. I didn't even realize that when it came to comedy, you have to perfect your material. I didn't realize that. So I just wrote new material every time I got up, and it was awful every time. So I sucked. But for some reason, I knew, I had a hunch that it was for me. It just wasn't my time. So coming to New York in June, I didn't know if I was going to be good at comedy. I truly didn't know. I had no idea. And when I came to New York, I wasn't. And I'm still not, but I've obviously gotten a lot better. And I knew I wanted to be with Mel, but I didn't know how we were going to be living together. I didn't know how we were going to be in a relationship, because we'd been doing long distance for 5 years, like very casual long distance. I'm going to premise that. Not so much. I had to have the casual premise on that, because it was me that needed the casual life. Because, as I said before, I just got out of a relationship, but I really did need some time to myself and to be with some other people, which I think everyone should. If you've just come out of a really long relationship, and technically I'd kind of come out of 2. Like, I did a 5-year relationship, didn't even really have a year off. And then I had another relationship of 8 years. So I really needed to learn how to be by myself. I really needed to learn how to be alone. I need to learn how to be a man, I need to learn how to be on my own 2 feet. When I got out of those relationships, especially the second one, like the long one, like, I was a mess. Like, I was crying, like, for 4 days, crying on the ground. Like, I couldn't function. I was so emotionally distraught. And I think that was, obviously it was just very sad, and the way things all happened, it was very, very sad. And it's no one's fault, just shit happens. But I also learned that I wasn't strong as a person in that time. I'd put all my eggs in someone else's basket. I hadn't developed the toolkit within myself to deal with hardships. And I think it's okay to be upset in a sad situation. There's nothing wrong with that. But I was so worried at that point of what my life was going to be like. I had no faith in myself. I had no faith that I could do it on my own. And I think if you're in that space, it's not a good space. Yeah. I think it does serve you to be confident that you will be fine no matter what. If you can get to that point and jump into a relationship from that point, I think you're going to be a lot better. But hey, it's everyone's journey, each to their own. But yeah, I've had a really interesting life. I'm very lucky. I've lived overseas for a while. I've done a lot of traveling. I've dated beautiful, interesting people. I've had some great, couple of really good and bad relationships, good and bad in different ways. And I've got a bit of life experience, and I'm looking forward to over my career with comedy and this podcast, I'm looking forward to like unraveling that with you guys. Like, you know, I don't know if it means anything. You know, it may, you know, I don't know if it's going to achieve anything, but it's not really for you guys. This is kind of for me. As much as I love that this is going to be my success is going to be directly proportional to how much you guys listen and how much you guys tune in and how much you guys like this, and I'm really grateful for that. But this journey is really truly about trying to fulfill myself, and I feel like if I do that, then the light bounces off me, you know, and I can help other people and serve other people. But if I don't serve myself first, then I'm no good to anyone. It's kind of like when you're in a plane and it's going down, they say, you know, you got to put your own oxygen on first, and then you put the oxygen on of your daughter or your baby, or I guess if your wife is annoying you, you just cut her oxygen tube. But yeah, this journey is definitely going to be an interesting one, and I'm enjoying it. I'm liking where it started. I don't know where it's going to go, but I am committed to keep on going with this podcast, to like keep bringing on awesome people, to try and get bigger and get more interesting guests, maybe be a bit more experimental. I'm very committed to like really going balls to the wall with comedy, really give it this some time, at the time that it needs and deserves, because comedy is a long road. Once you start getting into it, you realize how long it is. It takes a really long time to develop and get very, very good. And the greats, the true greats, never stop getting good. They just keep getting better and better and better. And hopefully that will be me one day. If it's not, that's fine as well. That's just not my journey. But I'm believe it's if I put in the work, it's only me stopping me. Only me stopping me. That sounds like a sloppy sentence. If I put in the work, though, there's no reason why I can't get what I want, and can't be who I want to be. So we'll see. To be continued. But I'm really enjoying this journey. I'm really loving this, sharing this experience with you guys. I'm learning so much about myself. I'm questioning the world. I'm questioning my own reality constantly, and it's a good process. This is one process that I'm very glad that I've had the opportunity to do in my life. Like if I was still at home working as an electrician, I wouldn't be satisfied. No offense to the electrical world. I love all the Sparky boys. I'm glad that I've done that and still do it from time to time. But I always wanted a bit more. I always felt a little trapped in that life. I mean, I made the decision to do that. I didn't even really make the decision. My mum made the decision for me to go get an electrical apprenticeship. I didn't want to do it. So I did it because I was told to. But I'm not shifting any blame. It was a great decision and I'm glad I did it. But, you know, we don't know what we want to do when we're 17, 18. You know, that's why, like how I've said on this podcast many times, people that do university, they go to university, most of them don't even end up in a profession correlated to what they studied. Like, it's crazy. We don't know what we want to do when we're young. So I don't think it's a bad thing or abnormal to get to a point where you're like, at some stage down the road, you're like, I want something else. I want something more. Like, yeah, I picked this then, but that doesn't mean that I have to pick this forever. I think that is okay. That for me was a very hard decision and hard mindset to override, because I come from a very white collar family. Like my family, my siblings all went to university. My parents went to university. And my parents had it instilled in me that you've got to do a conventional job. You know, their dream was for me to open up an electrical business, an electrical contracting business, and marry a doctor, but whatever. Um, but like for me to do this decision to change my life drastically, to commit to comedy, to commit even to my wife Mel, to change country, I let go of everything. And there's been so many times where I'm like, am I doing the right thing? What the fuck am I doing? And I even in the same week, even in the same day, but I'm really glad I did. Yeah, I'm really, really glad I did. This experience has given me so much joy. Um, it's given me so much reason, so many reasons to live. And it has helped me to understand the world and myself. So, yeah. What else is there? I don't know. If there's something else out there, I don't fucking know. That's enough rant about me. What I did want to talk about, the hot topic of the week for me, really, the hot topic of the week. Anyways, I hope you guys, my brain bouncing. I'm going to get better at this. I've got a very ADD brain, so it bounces around a lot. You can kind of see that this isn't the smoothest journey that I've taken you on, but I will get better at this. This is just a different muscle I have to learn to flex. So I'm enjoying this. We're gonna do more of these. But there is a hot topic of the week. Something that I learned, which I'm very impressed about, was the tunnels under the pyramids. We brought it up in a few episodes prior to this, if you had been listening. But what the fuck do you guys think of the tunnels in the pyramids? You think it's real or do you think it's fake? They have got these 8 vertical cylindrical tunnels or tubes, whatever you want to call them, that go 2,000 feet under the ground. 2,000 feet. That would make that the second tallest building in the world if it was above ground. Do you know how insane that is? Do you know how insane? Like, what could it be? These cylinders, these columns, they go through the water table. I mean, they go through the water table. If you go to any construction site where they're digging out a basement, there's always issues with water. It is a fucking pain in the ass. You've got to have pumps on 24/7 that are pumping it out into the sewer or the stormwater. Like, water ingress is a big bitch in construction. And these guys went through, if it's real, like, how? I mean, they didn't have modern stuff like we have. Like, they still were building everything out of stone. Anyway, it blows my fucking mind. I really can't wait to find out what it is if we ever find out. And then it's got this chamber underneath where the cylinders go into, these 2 chambers. I think it said it's 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, but I don't know. I want to know, what the fuck is it? Who lived down there? What its purpose was? It does. I got a few theories, and I've said this on a few episodes. I got a few theories. One theory is we're going to see this reflected in other pyramids around the world. That's what I think. I think we're going to see it again. I don't believe this is going to be a one-off. Another thing is, it's kind of shaped like an arrow under the ground, which really, if you look at it, it's an arrow. It's a giant arrow. It's got the pyramid is the arrowhead, the shaft, and then it's got the square. I mean, it looks like an arrow. And like, what is it in life, or what mystical stories have you heard about in life that involve an arrow? Is it Cupid's arrow? Cupid's arrow? Cupid would fire his arrow and make people fall in love? I mean, maybe it's got something to do with that, guys. Maybe it really is as basic as the universe is built on love. And that is just one giant arrow from the earth shooting our love into the universe. I don't know. It's so strange though. I'm so fascinated by it. Hey guys, I'm thinking about in the short term as well, maybe getting some sponsors. So just small sponsors. I don't know if anyone has any businesses, anyone that wants a mention for a little bit of do-re-mi to help the podcast move forward. Let me know. Reach out. We can do something. We can do something creative. Yeah, let me know, guys. I don't know if anyone. It may be a little early. It probably is a bit early. I think I've had 4,500 listens now, which is it's really fuck all. It probably is too early. But guys, when the time comes, if you know of anyone that wants to sponsor the podcast, let me know. All right, when the time comes, when the time is right. So I am going back to Australia. I'm going back to Australia for 3 weeks. I'm going to be at my brother's wedding. That's going to be really fun. Shout out to Guy Bird, you bloody sexy boy. I'm going to do my brother's wedding, have some time at home, see some friends, see some family, and go for a surf, have a bit of time off, have a bit of reset, get some riding in, and then go for it. Come back here and just start again. Not start again because I've already started again, but start again. I got to get a job too, guys. The savings are running a little low. So we're going to get a job. Do you find that weird? I've been watching Alone. Do you guys watch Alone? Alone is a show where these guys get dropped off in the middle of fucking nowhere and they get to take 10 items, a bow and arrow, an axe, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to take. And this guy talks to himself. Is that second person? So I is first person. We would be second person. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he's talking to himself in second person. He says, we this, like, we're going to go for a fish. We're going to do this. And I find it weird. I find it weird when you talk about yourself in second person. Am I the only one that thinks that's weird? Someone tell me what you think. Do we refer to ourselves as I am, or do we say we? We means that there's two of us, and that's kind of schizophrenic. And I'm not against that. Obviously, I've had some crazy experiences, but yeah, I don't know. We're getting pretty close to the end of my time. I want to thank, if you have stuck around for this, if you have literally sat through this rant, this crappy bullshit rant that is not funny, not yet. If you have stuck around with this, send me a message and say, hey Cam, I stuck around till the end. If you've done that, I know you're a true patriot. And I will, you know what? If I can, I'll send you a signed copy of my book. That's right. I have a book. I wrote a fucking book. You want to know about it, guys? You want to know about my book? You want to know about my book? My book is called The Blue Collar Bible. I wrote it because I wanted to write a book. I was obviously had nothing better going on in my life. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to write a book. So I fucking did. I wrote a book. It's called The Blue Collar Bible. It's got stories about the blue collar world in Australia. It's got funny stories about when I was also living and working in London. I met Pierce Brosnan in King's Cross train station. That was pretty cool. But the story in itself is actually pretty funny. I've got stories about different bosses, my first day of an apprenticeship, some horror stories of drilling possums in the ceiling, finding dead animals and walking in on a woman naked on a job. There's funny stories in there. There's also stories of when my friend fell through the roof on top of me. There is so many funny stories. There's also some really good insights. There's insights about unionism. And one thing you will learn about me more and more over time, I hope, if you stick around and we go down this journey together, is I'm a bit of a fan of a union. I think that when a group of people unite and band together, I think it's a beautiful thing. And it makes us become very, very powerful. So I really do try and push that message a little bit in my book, just for one chapter. I didn't want to be too preachy, but I did just pick one chapter where I wanted to write about it. I sort of gave a few examples, and through story, I try and lead through story to capture your imagination. But I do a bit of a story on unions, and why and how I got into them. So shout out to all the unions out there. If you're a union worker or you're in a union, shout out. You guys are doing really important roles. You don't realize how important it is. If we didn't have unions, the world would potentially be very grim. Because guys, the rich, oligarchical millionaires and billionaires do not have your best interests. I'll tell you right now. I would like to think they do, but most of them do not, unfortunately. And it's very easy to feel like we have to be bossed around or have to listen to what we're told to do by people that have seemingly power, usually because they've got money. I tell you what, the quickest way to take anyone's power is just to be non-compliant and say, no, fuck you. And the only way to be non-compliant and actually be able to have an impact is to be able to band lots of people together for that same cause. So hopefully it never gets to a point in a world where we have to do extreme measures to get our point across as like a middle-class citizen. But it's good to know that if we do need to fight for our rights in something, that we do have options out there and we can lean on people around us to fight for the same cause. And you're never alone then. Your cause becomes a lot more worthy. It becomes more meaningful. And it also has a lot of a bigger impact and can leave a far greater dent when there's a lot more people working towards the same cause. Collaboration in life is everything. We got to look at our life like we're bees in a hive, I believe. You're always going to be the queen bee of your own hive, but you have to let people in. You got to help people. You got to let them help you. You got to work together, and you got to create this hive. Very much like a pyramid, guys. Fancy that. Maybe the pyramid was also an arrow, is like a projection of moving forward or moving upwards, because it's basically pointing up into the sky. So maybe it's the vertical, like it's almost like the cross. You've got the horizontal axis, which is Earth, which is your cross. Your vertical axis, which is obviously same thing, the cross. I wonder if it has a more meaningful spiritual aspect like that. It could just all mean love, baby. It could just all be love. Just be a little love for you. How's my singing, guys? Do you want me to sing a little bit more? Leave the comments. If you like my singing and you stuck it out to the end, say so, and I will send you a book. If you know what? The first 50 people that message me and say, hey Cam, I listened to this episode and I stuck it out to the end, I will send you a signed book. Actually, I think I have like 30 books at home. So I'm going to send however many I've got. I think I've got 28, 30 books at home. You're going to get a signed copy of my book. It's going to be descriptive. I'm going to say something really beautiful and amazing about you. Hey, Cam, I stuck it out to the end because I am a loyal motherfucker. Hey, guys, I got to go. I hope you enjoyed this rant. I don't know if I did. I think I was pretty awful, but I'm looking forward to doing this again. This is a very interesting milestone. This is a very interesting time in my life. Thank you for allowing me to just flex this muscle. I've never done this before. This is very weird for me, but hey, we got there. We're going to do more of these. And if you like these, let me know. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? What do you want to see more of? You want me to take my shirt off next time? You want me to take my pants off next time? Harrison Marks, I know you would like me to take my pants off next time. But listen, guys, I love you all. I'm very grateful to be here in this position of my life, to be able to do this, to be able to do what I love, finally, to be able to have found what I love to do. So I'm very grateful. If I can give it back in any way through this podcast, through making you laugh, through comedy, I'm going to do so. And I'm going to keep trying to make myself happy, because that's really all we can do in lives is make ourselves happy, try and understand life, try and understand the people around us, try and not judge people, try and not judge ourselves. Yeah, it's a journey that we will be walking down right until the end because no one is perfect. Everything is imperfect, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But it's a fun journey. I'm glad I'm here with you guys. I want to say thank you so much for sticking this out with me. Thank you so much for listening to this many episodes. When we get back, when I get back from New York, I'm going to produce a show for the podcast. So guests that I've had on the podcast, I'm going to produce a show in New York City. I have the headline lined up. I'm not too sure what boys I'm going to put on and girls. But yeah, we've got some cool things coming. So guys, check it out. Thank you again. Love you all. Sorry about my stupid rant. Maybe we'll do more of this. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But until next time, guys, see you on the next one.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Going After It with Cam Bird. Produced by Cam Bird. Podcast edited by Calpit. Music by Brian Rigby. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And if you can, get after it.